Welcome to Real Chat,
the podcast where we, Annie and Chad, discuss real shit
loosely related to the real estate industry. Hello, Chad.
Hi, Annie. How are you today?
Welcome to episode 27 or 29.
I don't know. No, 27, because we were half a year last year.
Welcome to episode 27.
Welcome. Thanks. Glad to be here. It's spring.
I know. I saw you wearing flip-flops today.
I know.
Welcome to the club.
I don't think these qualify as flip-flops, do they?
Yeah, they're all flip-flops.
They're not.
Sandals.
These are sandals. Slides. I might
They
give you
almost look
slides.
like Crocs.
They're Birkenstocks. Do you remember when Birkenstocks were a thing back in the day? They're a thing again, except for they don't look like the old Birkenstocks did. They look like these now.
Like Crocs.
Okay, that too.
What do you want to talk about today?
They're really dirty.
Yeah.
I'm just now noticing.
I got a pedicure yesterday, so.
Probably time for some new ones. Anyways, what do I want to talk about today? I don't know.
Where were you at all week? Haven't seen you.
I was at the state business conference from Missouri Realtors.
Oh, what do you do there? Why are you laughing?
Because I don't understand why this podcast always has to be an interview. Why can't we just talk about something?
Because you were talking about Birkenstocks.
So what?
I was just trying to change the subject. I already knew where you were.
No, that's what makes it awkward. Everybody listening and watching knows you know where I was.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Anywho.
Anyways, where were you at this week, Annie? I didn't see you much.
I was here holding down the fort.
No, I was at the Missouri Realtors Business Conference. It was a relatively boring conference. There not a lot happened.
Yeah.
Nothing going on really yet at the state level. I had fun yesterday. Going to the sharing shed.
Yeah. Awesome place. I had no
Awesome
idea.
place.
I had no idea how many people they helped. And
That runs that. Sherry is her name. I really wanted to ask yesterday, but I didn't. Is it named after her?
no, it's not the Sherry Shed. It's the Sharing.
I know that, but
Stop. That's like,
I thought maybe it was a play on her name.
did they name this plaza after you?
No, but they could have. But that's not a play on my name. It's totally different. Sharing, Sherry, they sound the same. Eldridge, they don't sound the same.
They do.
No, they don't.
They're very similar. Some people think it's your name.
Well, it's not. But they very well could have named the sharing shed after somebody named Sherry. Like, that's reasonable thought process. At maybe a stretch, but it's reasonable.
You should have asked.
Well, I didn't. So now I'm asking you.
I-
and clearly your thought is,
If I
no,
was a
that's not
gambling
what they named
person,
it after.
I would say no. Did she say how long they've been there?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know that she was one of the founding members. Either, right?
That's a really cool place. Anyways, they take donations from people in,
So it's a big warehouse.
yeah, it's like a warehouse, but it's not really a warehouse either. It's more like a retail store almost.
In a warehouse.
It gave me,
But I mean, it's huge.
I mean, it's not the
And
size of
and
Walmart,
And it's
but
definitely in a warehouse district. But anyway, irrelevant.
I know I'm saying it gave me more of a retail shop vibe, though. I think that's their
How they have it set up.
yes, because they serve underprivileged people. I guess that's the word. I don't know.
People in
But
need. People in crisis.
People in crisis that don't have, bedding, utensils, household items, furniture, whatever you need for your house. And you go there and it's set up like a cute little like resale shop
Right.
almost.
Where you can
But
shop.
yeah, but you don't have to pay. So
All
they're
by
very
volunteers.
proud. It is run all by volunteers, which is cool. They're very proud about the quality of things that they put out, though, too. Like, they take donations, but then they have this whole little, like, workshop area in the back where they fix everything and clean everything. And, it's all very clean and very nice used. But it's nice. Like, they don't give out just,
And some new.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Some new stuff that they get donated. Like, we didn't. We collected things for them last week and took all brand new stuff. So it was awesome.
Right.
We did that 20 years. Realty ONE Group's been around. That's kind of crazy. That's a long time. So it was that May 1st is one day.
It's the anniversary of the
founding of
Realty ONE Group.
Realty ONE Group. And so we always go out in the community and do something that day to celebrate another year of the community sustaining us. We give back. It's kind of one of our core values.
No, I thought it was great to know that it's there because a lot of people have things when they're moving. We run across this all the time that they want to donate, and sometimes it's hard to find somewhere to donate. And the sharing shed takes, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They take mattresses, they take bed frames, furniture, all types of furniture, pots and pans and crock pots and anything in the kitchen and utensils.
It was fun to watch the agents yesterday too with we had seven and so we stayed and we volunteered, so we like cleaned some appliances that need to be cleaned, and you and I took all the bed slats because they have like bed frames, but then some of them have missing and broken slats or whatever, so you take and measure them and put them together in groups and organize them so they can piece together a full bed for somebody. So everybody was working on projects like that, and Dawn and Michelle were matching up lamp bases that didn't have shades to shades that would fit on them and look decent, but it was fun to watch them doing that and interacting. I think they got a lot out of it. I did.
That's great organization. It's in O'Fallon. I think it's an agency that will partner with a lot in the future.
For sure. Anyways, that was fun. I did that yesterday. Drove back from Missouri Realtors at midnight to be there. I wasn't going to be there if the truth be told, but then I was feeling guilty for not coming, so I came.
And it's just one day.
Yeah, I know. Going to BCI's Derby After Dark this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very sad that I'm missing that. We're sponsoring that.
We're the best dress sponsor for the event, so
yeah.
I gotta go shopping and find something to wear. But
what does BCI stand for?
Boone Center Incorporated? Yes,
Is
Boone Center Incorporated. They are an amazing organization. Actually, they do packaging, so they're a packaging warehouse. They have two warehouses. They have one in St. Peter's, which is right on the border of St. Peter's and O'Fallon. And then they have one in Moscow Mills.
Where in Moscow Mills? I did not know that.
Yeah. I don't know where it's at in Moscow Mills. I've never been to the Moscow Mills Center. I've been to the St. Peter's one for a tour. But so they're a packaging plant. So they do, like, for name brand products, a bajillion different things that they package. They package Lysol and balloons and all kinds of different stuff. It's a massive warehouse. They only employ people with special needs. I shouldn't say they only employ people with special needs. That's their mission. It's a nonprofit organization. So what they do is they garner contracts from companies or whatever to package things, and their warehouse is set up and they have employees there to rework the process of packaging so that somebody with a special need can work that part of the line or whatever. And so all of their workers there on the floor are special needs in one fashion or another, in varying degrees, of cognitive ability. But
what's the fundraiser for then?
Because they're a nonprofit organization, so they do, get money from the contracts with the companies that they have, but they also do this fundraiser every year. It's a gala. It's a Derby After Dark.
I saw the pictures. Gala. It looks like a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. This will be the third year that I've gone to it. So I got introduced to the organization because one of my best friends, Amy, has an uncle who his diagnosis is MR, which is mental retardation, but he's like 70-ish years old. And so when they diagnosed him, they didn't understand a lot of the different mental capacity diseases that are out there or disorders that are out there. So he's just lived with that diagnosis and he does all right. But he works at BCI and has for 8 years now. And the organization is just a godsend for them because he lives with them and they're his caretaker. He requires around the clock care. Somebody's got to make sure he eats, and because he just doesn't have the mental capacity to take care of himself. So, but he goes to work every day and he loves going to work. Mm-hmm. He comes home and he'll tell you endlessly about, he calls it their quarter, but they have a quota every day that they, a goal, if you will. They're just like a regular fulfillment center, a packaging center. They have a big whiteboard at the front of how many bottles they're going to package this day and how many balloons they're going to package this day. And they have a team meeting at the beginning and they all talk about their parts. And so that's the big conversation every day, is whether his line, whatever line he's on. And he's very proud because he can work on like 3 out of the 8 lines that they have set up there, whether the line met their quarter for the day, which is just, did they get their packages or their bottles packaged, That's his favorite line. I think it's line 6. He'll tell you if you ever talk to him. He talks to everybody.
I've met him.
He'll talk your arm off, especially about sports. If you ever start a conversation about sports for whatever reason, he's very fascinated with sports, and He knows all of the statistics every year for the Cardinals, like the batting averages, the pitchers, ERAs, everything like that. He can talk about all of that, the standings. And he's a big
How long has he worked?
He's been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
He's one of the longest employees. But the organization does more than just that, too. That is their in-house employment service that they have for people. And all of those people that are employed there, they also have an entire facility across the street from their packaging warehouse that's a skills training center. So they also have contracts with service providers, like SSM is one of them in St. Louis, and they train their employees. The goal is to train them to go out into the actual workforce and do those jobs. So overcoming their challenges or whatever with their mental capacity so that they can go in and maybe be a housekeeping provider at SSM or something like that, so they can go get a full wage. So when you work in the warehouse, they don't get paid full wages because they can't afford to pay them that. While they're highly productive, it gives them a place to go, a sense of belonging and community, and they do accomplish things for sure. They don't produce enough to sustain a full-time wage.
Listening to you tell that story and then having been to the sharing shed this week, it's just amazing the people who find the need to help people who just need a leg up.
Right.
Both the sharing
just
shed
to be
and
given
this.
a chance.
Yes.
Right.
It's not just charity. It's helping somebody get back on their feet or stay on their feet.
They don't look, and that is one thing that I love about BCI, and I'm really familiar with BCI. The sharing shed was new to me yesterday. I didn't even know that existed until yesterday, but a couple months ago when we started planning one day. But BCI is big on that, right? They're not charity. They come to work. They have standards. They have quotas, take lunch together. They go on break together. Like, it's just a regular job.
But that they do that. I mean, it exists to help those people. Just like the sharing shed. I love that the sharing shed, the same thing. It exists to help people, but they do it with such a way that you can have your pride and your dignity as you're getting some assistance that you need, whether it's short term for the sharing shed or 8 years of a job, because it would be hard for some of those people that go there to have a job.
Randy would not. Randy is one of them, and Amy will tell you he could not work, and he does. And that's where I was going with that. So BCI does skill training too. So they will take a person and that they'll start in the packaging warehouse, and they kind of use that as the diagnosis is not the right word, but skill assessment, right? So what can you do? What are you good at? What kind of modifications do you need to accomplish certain things? And then they all have advisors that work with each of them. And so they'll figure out what they're good at and then take them into the skills center, and they'll teach them how to do skills that are practical in the actual job industry. So not everybody is employed at the warehouse for a long period of time, but it's also the employee's choice whether they want to do that. And Randy loves working at the warehouse so much. He could be in the skills center. He could be out, they've told him 100 times, we could get you a job there's been 6 or 7 different companies that he could go work a full time. He belongs at the warehouse. That's where his friends are. He's been there long enough now that when somebody comes new on the lines, they let him teach. He teaches the new guys how to do things, and I'm going to cry.
Yeah. So can you volunteer there? Are those people that help? They're paid?
Yeah.
They're paid employees?
Yep. There's no they do volunteer activities, sometimes events and stuff like that, but they never, no. Yeah. They pay everybody. No. Nobody works for free. I said, they don't get it's not normal wages, if you will. It's reduced wages, but nobody works for free. They all get paid.
So many of us get so wrapped up in our own life. We don't see all the needs around us that, we can do things to help people.
It's true. It's crazy.
This week was kind of a week for us to kind of see that.
I know. Yeah. So there's a ton of, and that's just 2 organizations in O'Fallon. There's a million out there, but I'm human. I can cry. So we have that derby. So the derby is just really a celebration of everybody that supports them too, more so than, of course it's a massive fundraiser. But I think it is that way just because of the support of the organization. Yeah, we're best dressed sponsor, and it's a derby, Kentucky Derby theme. The Kentucky Derby
that's why
is
I wanted to go.
Saturday.
I wanted to get me a new hat.
Fun. We decorated hats. Me and my friend Amy that I was talking about, and Mikey, and a couple other people that are going got together and decorated hats last weekend for the derby.
Are you wearing a hat?
I am. Of course I am. Yeah. It's fun. There's
Is there gambling?
the Kentucky Derby.
Dang, that dance competition.
It's funny, actually. Yeah. So so one of the things that happens at the Derby is we actually watch the Derby live,
Right.
and there's betting on it. So you can bet on the
Yeah,
Derby.
you can win.
Money back, but they do rake, and that's part of the fundraiser, right? So you buy a ticket, and half of it goes. It's kind of like a 50-50,
Yeah.
right? And then if your horse wins, you get the odds based on what the bets were on the horses just at the Derby.
That's pretty cool.
Or just at the event. They have a silent auction, they have a live auction, they have a whiskey pull. So you draw a number out of a hat, and there's a wall of whiskey, and they have like 100 bottles because there's so many people that come to the event. But so you draw a number out of a hat, and whatever number you get, that's the whiskey that you get off the wall. They're doing a raffle this year. So they always do one raffle that you have to buy the tickets before, but they draw at the event, and that one is for 2 people to go to the actual Kentucky Derby next year, which anybody can buy those. You don't have to be at the event to buy those. So if you go online, go to the link, you can buy, they're $100 a piece. So they're doing that. And then second prize gets a ticket to the gala next year and a stay at Ameristar, because it's at Ameristar.
I feel like you're trying to sell us tickets. Are there
reason.
tickets still available?
There won't be by the time the podcast comes out. Nope. It'll be after the gala
You're
this
doing
weekend.
quite an advertisement for
I'm
it.
just saying what they're doing. I mean, I really think I'm not trying to do an advertisement for it. I want people to support the organization. So it's a cool organization, going on the tour, which anybody can do too. So I think it might be our organization we do next year for one day, possibly. What was I listening to this morning? It was a podcast. Somebody asked me how did that come up? I don't even remember how it came up. Somebody asked me when it was appropriate to quit on something. And then it led to this whole conversation about quitting. No, it was specific, but I don't know that I want to share the specifics, but it was an interesting philosophical thought I had with myself after I was asked the question, because
Ask me the question.
When's the appropriate time to quit?
Well, clearly you had more information than that. Quit
Just
what?
something like you're frustrated with it, whatever. When is it time to quit? When is it okay to quit?
When is it okay to quit?
How do you answer that for yourself? Like, when do you know that it's okay to quit?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of answers, because it's going to depend on the situation. So I think it would be okay to quit if you were doing something that went against your morals or your values. Somebody was, asking you to do something that was against that. I think it's okay to quit if something is not serving you anymore. Maybe it's something you've done your whole life, but you've grown and moved on. I think it's okay to quit if you have exhausted everything that you can to fix or repair something or learn something. I just feel like I need a more specific question to really answer that.
It was a generic question. I mean, like when it was asked,
because people are raised that I'm not a quitter.
Never quit,
Yeah.
right? Like that wasn't when never give up, never quit. That's how I was raised. And I don't, so you get that like thing about quitting, and it's not. And then I thought to myself, but I don't know that what you just described, this was the thought I had in my head, was all of those things that you just said. I'm like, I don't know that those are quitting.
Well,
Conclusions to
quitting
it.
is stop doing. Quitting is,
I don't know whether it is or not.
what's Webster's? Pull that phone out.
Because I think
because I say that at the casino a lot. I'm like, I'm not quitting. I'm not a quitter.
Right.
So sometimes you say it in jest, but
it's the truth. So the definition is to leave permanently,
Okay.
usually.
well, I would never quit the casino then.
Right.
When is it okay to quit a job? I mean, I think it's.
But I don't think that you're quitting. That's the part that
You're moving on. Well, no, you're
letting-
leaving it. You're leaving it permanently. I've quit jobs.
You're letting go of it.
Well, now you're splitting hairs.
But that's
Read
important.
What's
to
the
your
definition
psyche.
again?
Huh?
What's the definition one more time?
To leave permanently.
Anything. Okay.
Because I don't think that if you were like,
You're just reading into the word quit, which is probably how it was used in the way that you're saying it as a child, is giving up. Quitting and
Right.
giving up are not the same. Those are not synonyms.
no, right.
And
So-
then in your head, you're making it mean giving up. And it doesn't mean, maybe it means being brave. Quitting is brave.
Wait, because you're letting go of something that you're trying to control. That was the thing. Like when you're doing something and you're like, I'm just not going to get to the end of it, right? Why are you not getting to the end of it? And then you quit. in the middle of it, but you didn't necessarily quit. Sometimes you have to let go in order to get to the end of it. Like you have to let it become self-sustaining and realize that you're not in control of that, right? I think about it sometimes when I'm talking to real estate agents, business is if you, and then it took me down that road of in the real estate industry, I think that a lot of times real estate agents get frustrated because their business isn't growing fast enough or whatever it may be. And they want to quit. And they think about it as quitting. And it's like, no, let go of the control of that, right? And do what you know is right, what's within your core values, and let it grow. Like, let it go. Let it grow. Let it be. Quit trying to control it. When you quit in that sense, it's not a bad thing.
I think the problem is with it's really the intention or what you're really asking. That's why I said you really have to ask a specific question.
It has to be in context.
Because it's also, you might be a realtor for a year and be like, this is not what I thought it was, so I'm going to move on and do something else. And that's okay too. I'm just thinking of the Friends episode. I want to quit the gym. I want to quit the bank.
That is funny. I don't know. It was interesting. It was an interesting little thought bubble that I had.
No, most of us were raised the same way, not to be a quitter. And there's a lot of things I probably should quit. No, it is hard. It is hard to leave things that are your identity too, that maybe no longer serve you. And that's when it's okay to quit.
Yeah.
Or let go.
Conversation up. Yeah. That keeps coming up everywhere. Identity, right? Like, having that, the knowing your identity and knowing who you are and who you want to be. And
it's so comfortable. It's funny you say that because you and I are in the middle of going through some restructuring some things and looking at long-term goals and how we run our business. And one of the things I was listening to was, it's because it's in your not quitting, it's safe to stay where you are. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to reach another level, you do have to change your identity because you can't stay where you are and achieve extraordinary things.
You have to let go.
Yeah, you have to move on to bigger things too.
Well, it's comfortable. I mean, where you're at is comfortable. It's known. And the known things are comfortable.
And had caveman done that, we'd still be living in the cave.
It's true. It is funny. Anyways, that was an interesting thought process that I just had. I don't know why I thought it was so interesting, and it probably made absolutely no sense just now. But
probably not, but that's all right.
Yeah, you didn't know when to quit, when to give up, when to not do it anymore, when to let go. That's what I like to say. I think I'm going to change that to that. Is it time to let go, right? Like, because sometimes even letting go of things, like that's that old saying too. If you truly love something, you need to let go of it. And if it stays there, despite the fact that you've let go of it, then that's how you know it was right. Right?
I keep trying to let go of something and it just keeps on coming back.
That's because it's right.
Week after week. No, we teach that in business planning, though. It made me think of that picture of that man chiseling with the axe, trying to get through the concrete or the rock wall. And he's, this far from breaking through when he quits. Yep. So then that's the opposite of what you're saying. So I don't know why I brought that up. But my point...
I'm glad that you took that all the way through.
But my point to that is, he had one more swipe and he was going to be through the wall that he'd been trying to break through for 10 years. And he quit right before he got the reward.
Yeah, but what if the reward wasn't on the other side of the wall?
What if it was?
You could be your head down, knocking through that wall. And I think that's the point of my thought process is sometimes that's okay. Because
you need to know.
You don't need to know. You need to be comfortable with the fact that you did your best.
Did you though?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I'm saying it's not so easy to answer that question.
That was the thought process behind it, right? If you let go at the end and so what, you were 2 centimeters away from it. Maybe what you needed wasn't on the other side of that wall. Maybe what you needed was digging through the mountain to learn something about yourself. Like,
maybe it was a pot of gold.
That's funny. Yeah, with that. And I was having another little I don't know why, but I've been having all of these philosophical conversations with myself. I might be worried if I were you.
I'm very worried.
I think it's all the time. I have drive and now I got nothing better to do but think about life and this and whatever. I like to think about that stuff anyways.
No, and you do.
I should be a philosopher. That's what I should have been because I love nothing more than just to sit and tear an argument apart. Just for the sake of tearing it apart, particular reason.
No, we like to debate just because we like to. I don't even care which side you pick. You pick a side, I'm taking the other one.
It's how you learn. Anyways, who knows? Maybe we'll save my next philosophical thought for the next podcast. I'm going to have fun at that. Derby this weekend, and next year you have to come with us. I invite you every year, and
was-
every year
it
it's
falls
a dance
on a
competition.
dance competition.
I know. So 1 out of 5 years you can skip the dance
All right,
competition and
next
come
year
with
I'll
me.
come to the Derby.
Okay.
Regardless.
Deal. Uncle Randy asked if you were coming.
Oh, he's so sweet.
He is.
Is there a silent auction?
Absolutely.
Buy me something.
It's actually the best silent auction I've seen, and I go to a lot of fundraisers
You
with
know,
silent
I like
auctions.
to win the silent auction.
Yes, I
It's a
know.
personal mission.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. It's kind of like gambling.
Yeah, it is a little bit. So, what are you doing this weekend?
A dance competition. Have you
Oh,
not
yeah.
been listening? Oh, dear Lord.
I think I just said that. Okay, well, you have fun at your dance
Okay,
competition.
you have fun at the Derby.
And I'll have fun at the Derby, and I'll see you next week for another episode of this shit show.
Peace.
Subscribe if you haven't yet. Bye.